surprising that we are not looking for these opportunities, not applying. So we really need to get out there and apply, but also how do we, what would make us successful in that process? So I think we can end it at that, Lloyd, that feels sufficient. And I'll try share back my screen. Great. And again on slide mode, just give me a second. Brilliant. So, so then I'll start off by just highlighting some of the effective pillars of grant proposal. And this basically means what really differentiates one grant proposal from another. As I said, most of these grant applications, you have a very standard template for applying for the grant. And therefore, it's really not how you put it that matters in terms of the format and the technical bits, but there are some aspects of it that makes one better than the other. And how I'd like to look at this is more around think about it as the oil in the engine. So the oil really is not the engine, and it cannot function as an engine, but the oil makes the engine better and function better. And therefore, these are some of the things that really brings together our grant proposals. And one of them, I'll share just 4 pillars today. There could be more, but I'll just share 4 pillars today on effective grant application. And the first one is around vision. And I think this is a really big one. And as businesses, we do know the importance of vision in our business. I'm sure you can talk about this better than myself. But when you're doing your grant application, it's really important that you have clarity on the big picture. Focus on the potential. So it could be a small thing starting, it's a startup, it's a new innovation, but focus on the big picture. Really project how this innovation would effect change in the world going forward. So at the moment it could be small, but always project on the big picture on that. And people are always attracted to your vision. So and will support you because of that. And so as you're putting together your grant application, some of the things that need to come out is what's your clear focus in the business? What is your ambition going forward? What are some of your long-term goals? And where are you going and how are you getting there? So always focus on the big vision, on the big picture. And like I said, I have an example at the end of it that I will use to bring it all together. And then the other aspect is passion in your business. So do demonstrate passion, do demonstrate enthusiasm in your business. We all know that entrepreneurship is hard, and sometimes you'll go through difficulties. But how do you demonstrate that you will go on despite those difficulties? How do you demonstrate emotional investment in your business? And I think this is something that you can do either by giving a specific example, or you can have a little subheading on just emotional investment. And this is how I have, I have been emotionally involved in my business. And I think the big question here is, are you pursuing something that you truly believe in? Or is it something that you are pursuing because someone else did it and was successful? So if you're able to bring out that in your grant application, it will get you ahead of the others. And then the others is about the team. So do bring out the element of team. Who is in your team? Do they have the ability to deliver, the innovation or the project that you want to do? So I think demonstrate that talent in the team. And the point here on the team is that it doesn't have to be a really big team, an expensive team, but whatever size of the team is, whether there are 2 people, can you really bring out, their ability to deliver what you're putting in the proposal? And the last pillar is really follow through. So when we put together a grant proposal, that's all fine, but do you demonstrate that you have the ability to uphold accountability and transparency into implementation? So whatever it is that you have put up in your proposal, do you have systems to ensure that you actually implement it, actualize it, and be accountable? And this is a really big issue for us as donors. And today I'll use the word donors to mean anyone who's offering that grant to either business or whatever organization. So I know sometimes we use donor as, the international donor agencies. But today I want us to use it whether it's an local NGO, but anyone who is issuing a grant to another business or organization is a donor. And accountability is a big issue for us, and therefore we always look out for the demonstration that you do have in place some systems to follow through and to remain accountable for the grant that you're given. So like I said, I will pause at this point at the end of that session. So I'll just pause and give you a second to reflect on your very specific business. What does this mean for you? What's the vision for your business? Do you have it, or do you think you need a bit more to reflect further on what really your vision is? What's your mission, and what are you passionate about it, and how would you bring that out in a grant application? So I'll just give it a minute, reflect on your very specific business. And as you do that, do note down questions and put them in the chat. Linda will help me moderate and we'll take them at the end. So as you reflect on your business, do note down if you have any specific questions that you'd like us to go through at the end. So then I'll move to the kind of the evaluation process. And again, like I said, my approach today was to come from the inside out. So really what happens at the back end. And of course, you know, grant evaluation is a big part of this process. And therefore today I just wanted to take us through what really happens once you submit your application, what goes on after that. And the selection process, as I've beamed out there, is, you know, so we'll have, of course, you'll submit your grant. And I think on this, there are different modalities, there are different channels, and that will all be very clear in the specific grant. So if it's a website, an application, if it's a different way of doing it, that will all be clear. The dates will be there, and therefore you just know by when you need to submit your grant application. And then, of course, we will always establish a selection panel or a committee that then evaluates the proposals. And this happens even before the grants are submitted. So this is something we do earlier on. So the manner in which they appear doesn't mean it's not sequential, but it's really like establishment of a selection panel happens much earlier in the process. Then we will do an initial screening, and initial screening will be against the very minimum requirement. And one thing to put out is that these processes are very competitive. I did say, for example, the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund, we do get over 1,000 applications, and and at the end of the day, we're looking just to have 5 grants for each round. So that tells you it's very competitive, and we get a number of applications for that. So we do an initial screening against the minimum requirement. So for example, if a requirement is for your business to be registered and your application has not demonstrated that, then unfortunately you just fall off at that point, even though you have a really good innovation. So I think it's just also good to make sure that we follow the instructions, and I'll come to that in a bit. And then we will do a shortlisting. So all the applications that go through the initial screening will then now weigh them against a detailed evaluation criteria, and I'll speak to that just in a bit. And then we begin to weigh them and, and kind of order them in terms of how well they perform or how well they are written. And then we will go to pitching if that's included. So there are grant processes that do not include pitching. Some of them do include pitching. For example, the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund that we run does include pitching, and therefore we have a pitching event. So for that, what we do is we shortlist down to 10 applications, and it's a very thorough process. I think one comfort that I can give you is that we take these things very seriously from a donor perspective. We do know how much you invested in your business, and therefore we take them very seriously and give each of them a really equal opportunity. And so we'll shortlist down to 10 applications, go to a pitching event where now you pitch live your innovation. And then afterwards, we select, the grant winners. We do the processes of awarding and ongoing support. And on the side, I've written due diligence assessment because we do that at different points in the process, depending again on how it is structured. And just to say, this is also very important to us as donors. We do due diligence assessment, and some of the things that we assess is, like I said, the ability of your whether you have the systems to follow through with the application that you have put up. And therefore, what really do we look at in terms of grant evaluation criteria? What are some of the things that we put up to assess the grants that we receive? And I want to say at this point that this will differ from one grant to another, from the purpose of grant, you know, and the sector of focus. So this really differs from one grant to another. But I've put up 6, some of the evaluation criteria that we use. Like I said, it could be different. So the first one is impact. And I think we do look for impact in the grants that we make. And the kind of impact that we look for is more around social and developmental value that this you know, project will add to the community. So whether it is health outcomes, you know, whether it is education outcomes, whether it is jobs, whether it's something around climate environment, but the thing is clearly demonstrate that there is impact and that, you know, the level of impact is big enough to warrant our grant funding. And just to say here that equity is very important, and equity basically means reaching the harder to reach. So if you can demonstrate how through your business or through your specific proposal, you will be reaching the harder to reach population. So that could be by geography, so whether it's a location, that could be by gender, whether it's women, that could be like by, you know, people living with disability, or you know, just the specifically harder to reach populations and how you are reaching them. The other key evaluation criteria that we look at is scalability. And this just means like, what's the potential to replicate this across different geographies or in other markets or other sectors? Or how can we expand this specific innovation to be able to benefit a lot more people? So scalability is one thing that we really look at. And this goes back to the vision, because the whole point is to sell, you know, that bigger vision. It could be a small thing right now, but is it something that can be scaled to impact more? The other aspect that we look at is innovation. So really, why is this differentiated? Why are we putting money in it? Is it disruptive? Does it have a higher, you know, success rate for impact, for example? Is it something that is new and not replicating something that has already been done? And again, like I said, different funds have different angles that they focus on. So you will get, for example, an innovation fund that an innovation fund would focus a lot more and give a lot of weight to innovation as a criteria, say at 30%, at 40%, while, you know, something else goes lower. And then the other criteria that we look at is financial additionality. And financial additionality is really important, because one thing that I should have said from the onset is that we do not want to distort the market, and issuing grants to specific businesses have a potential to distort the market. So either we are giving advantage to that one specific business over others, or distorting the financial markets themselves, because there are commercial funds that are available. So the fact that we are giving a business a grant means they will not go for it, and does that distort the market? So there's got to be a very clear rationale for why we are giving a grant to the business, and not, you know, using the commercial sources that are available. And then the other criteria is sustainability. And this is really demonstrating the long-term commercial viability. And I think this is a really good, important point to consider, because most of the time we look out at the proposals to see that this particular project or business will not be dependent on grants, you know, in the long run. I think grants are supposed to help, you know, unlock a certain constraint that then allows you to operate as a business. You are a commercial enterprise and you run a business, and we do want you to demonstrate that commercial viability in the long run. So whether you are trying a new innovation, we should really see the pathway to commercial viability and the ability for it to run itself. And then the next one is co-investment. And co-investment, again, is very important to us. And this shows what you have put into the business yourself. What are you putting onto the table? And I think also this just shows ownership of the business and commitment to it. And so you need to demonstrate that you're bringing yourself as well. And this could be in cash. So yes, you can say if you're applying for a grant of 10 million, 5 million, 1 million. But then you're bringing onto the table a bit of it, a proportion of it, to help you do your entire project that you intended to do. So co-investment is a very important one for us. So just going back again to go through them: impact is important, scalability is important, innovation, financial additionality, sustainability, and co-investment. So again, I will pause there. For a moment and just have you reflect on your specific business and how some of these evaluation criteria would fit in. And as I said before, do register any questions that you have in the chat, and we will pick them at the end. Great. So again, as part of the evaluation process, we do have weighting matrix. So normally we do weight the different areas that we are assessing. So in this case, I have put the 6 areas or evaluation areas that we will be assessing: impact, scalability, innovation, additionality, sustainability, and co-investment. We would always weight them, again, depending on the objective of the specific grant. So impact, for example, this is a sample. This is a sample and doesn't mean this is what it normally follows, but it looks something like this. So if impact is very, very important for that specific grant, it will be weighted higher, so at 30%. Scalability, innovation. If it is an innovation fund, you may find that then innovation is actually weighted given a higher weight, depending on the objective of the specific fund. But the total weighting gets to 100, and this is what we do. So first of all, we sit down and just decide how the weighting will be before we go into assessing. So I just wanted to put this up there as a sample weighting matrix that we use. And then on the next slide, I have kind of now the finer details of the scoring and how we do it. So again, on the scoring, we will take the criteria. So one of the areas that we are assessing, for example, innovation, it has a weighting to it. And then we will have different descriptions as to how many marks we will score. So for example, on innovation, and we are assessing, is there existence, what's the nature, what's the feasibility, and what's the relevance of the innovation that you're putting up. So if really there is no innovation, it's a 0. If there is slight important, but not disruptive innovation, maybe there is weak evidence of feasibility, then it's 1. Then as it progresses, there's incremental innovation, and innovation can be, like we said, in technologies, it can be in the process, it can be in the product itself, or there's clearly unique and differentiated product or process. So we score.
Sorry, Eunice, we lost you there.
Eunice, we lost you for a moment.
Hi, Eunice, we lost you there. We cannot hear you. Let's give her a moment to come back. Hi, Eunice. We can't hear you, but I think you're still presenting. Hi, Eunice. Hi, Eunice. We lost you there. Can you hear me? I don't know whether you can hear me. We lost you there. We can't hear you.
Linda, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. We lost you.
Oh, okay.
We lost you from just before the when you were now still talking on the criteria, the detailed criteria. So we need to go back there.
Linda, what happened?
So you need to, we now hear you. You can go back to the innovation criteria part.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, I'm not sure. Let me try see what happened. I'm not sure what happened. So I got an alert that the host has muted me.
Ah, okay. Sorry for that. So go back. Can you hear me now?
Sincere apologies. Apologies for that. I hope you can now hear me. Linda, please confirm.
Yes, we can hear you very well. Can you hear me?
I can't hear Linda.
Oh, you can't hear me. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, so just give me 1 second. I'll speak to you via phone. So Lloyd, please help. So we lost you at
Can anyone in the team confirm that you can hear me? I really can't hear.
We can hear you very well. We can now hear you, but you can't hear us.
Maybe Eunice, I would propose that you unplug your headphone, then you plug it back. I honestly think it's a sound problem on your end. Yeah, please double check that. So just unplug your headphone and then plug it back. Then you could also attempt stop sharing the screen, then you share it again. Then I think we'll be back to normal.
Apologies again. I'm told you can hear me, but I can't hear. So I'll keep going. I'll keep going. Apologies for that. I really couldn't hear. Okay, so yeah, I was going through the just a minute. Okay, so sorry. I think I have a bit of difficulties here because my slides are also not moving anymore. Apologies. My apologies for this. It feels like beyond me, but let's see. Lloyd on phones, I'll have to take that. Linda, confirm you can hear me.
I can hear you very well. Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? We can hear you very well. Oh, wow, what's happening?
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you very well. Can you hear me?
Hello?
I can hear you very well. You can't hear me. Yeah, you keep going. So start from the innovation matrix and go on. So we can hear you. Yeah, great. Sorry.
So sorry, for some strange reason, you can all hear me, but I can't hear, but I'll keep going. So I was giving an example of this, of a successful applicant, but Linda tells me I should go a bit down, back up to the scoring matrix. I hope you can all hear. I hope you can all see my screen. So yeah, this is a sample scoring matrix on how we do it, and I'm hoping we really had when I was taking us through, how we break it down and try and give it a very objective. Give it a very objective, way of assessing it. So if it is jobs, we'll categorize number of jobs. If it is health outcomes, I would believe they'd want very specific, matrices a matrix for reviewing that. And then, yes, I was giving the example of Savannah Circuit as a successful applicant. And they did apply for the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund. It's based in West Pokot. Their innovation is solar-powered cooling units, which currently they use for milk as a milk chiller. So as I was saying, the solution that they're trying to provide is to link the smallholder farmer with the dairy cooperatives. And what they do, therefore, is that they have this, a solar-powered milk chiller that is mounted on a motorbike. They do have riders who go around every morning to pick milk from dairy farmers and take that to the dairy cooperatives. And what that helps with is that, the milk gets to the dairy cooperative when it's still fresh, and that eliminates the issue of, the farmer trying to get the milk on their own in a bucket or whatever it is, and then risks the whole milk going bad, which means they miss out on income, but also the dairy cooperative misses out on the milk, which they need for their processes. So that's the innovation that Savannah Circuit put forward for the Jobs Fund, and they were successful. And some of the things that made them successful, for example, going back to the evaluation criteria, is, say, if you pick something like scalability. And the thing with this innovation is that they're working on a solar-powered cooling unit, and this cooling unit can be used for anything. You can be used for multiple things. Well, not anything exactly, but can be used for multiple things and different sectors. So, for example, it can be used for vaccinations or for carrying vaccines if it's in the medical sector. It can be replicated to another region. Right now, they're in West Pokot. This is something that could be, replicated in any region within the country or outside and do the same thing. So, and then the potential that it has. So beyond the direct jobs that they create in terms of the riders, or in terms of the engineers who work on the product themselves, because they do manufacture these cooling units by themselves. Besides that, they also, have another impact on the livelihoods of the dairy farmer, the smallholder dairy farmers, in terms of increasing their income. So they are able to get their milk to the dairy cooperatives in good time when it's fresh, and that gives them income. So I just wanted to beam that as a specific example. I hope this doesn't lose you, because, like I said, reflect on your own business as we get along. So again, I'll pause for a second and just see if, just let you reflect around your business and some of that evaluation criteria. If you have any question, this is also the time to put it in the chat bar. Okay, so then moving to putting the package together, I'll try run through this because we are now running out of my allocated time. So putting the package together, applying for the grant itself, And I think for me, this is an area that I think is a bit more straightforward because, like I said, most of the grant makers will be very clear on what the template is and on what the criteria is and what you should follow and how you should package the proposal itself. So just a few points to note here. It differs across the board. Like I said, it depends on, the purpose of the grant. It depends on the sector. It depends on how it's structured. So there is no one standard template for grant application. It always differs. Always ensure to properly follow the prescribed template. So if you're supposed to attach something, please do make sure you attach it. If you're supposed to start with a particular way, please make sure you follow that. And your application should be easy to understand. And do not assume knowledge on the part of the donor or the people who are going to evaluate it. And I think sometimes as we work in our business day in, day out, we are so used to it, we are so familiar to it, and there is a risk that we can assume that knowledge on the other part. So don't assume knowledge, make it easy to understand, be clear what your innovation is, what your vision is, and what you're selling. And tell a story. I think stories are really powerful. So tell your story, and you can do that by giving very specific examples. We read them, we do read them, and we consider them. So give specific examples, tell a story, be consistent in your story, and just really paint a picture on what your innovation is and how this grant it fits in with your objectives. And then be precise. So again, not too long, honestly, but I think most of the time we will even give you like page limits. So this is not a big issue. We will always give you page limits because we know if we don't, it may be too long. So be precise, be clear, tell the story. And then just really in terms of an outline of what a grant application template would look like, this is a sample. Like I said, they differ across the board. So this is a sample, but more often you start with a cover letter, you do an executive summary of the whole thing. You do a statement of need. What problem are you trying to solve? So in the example that I gave of Savannah Circuit, clearly articulating that the problem that they're trying to solve is this issue of, you can call it post-harvest loss. So farmers get milk from their farms, but it goes bad by the time they get to the dairy cooperatives. And that's the problem that they're trying to solve through these solar-powered milk chillers. It also ticks the box of, climate and environment, just using the solar energy itself. So clearly articulate the need. And then what's your innovation? Describe the innovation. Describe the gap that you want to fill and how that, will bring the change that we are looking for. Of course, budget issues, details on how you'll use the money, reporting. Again, going back to one of the pillars that I talked about, accountability is really important. So do demonstrate that you have capacity and capability to report and to use well the financing. Then, of course, staffing is normally a session that we look at, who's going to carry forward the work that you're putting forward. So these are some of the kind of the topics or the subheadings in a grant application template. They will differ from one application to another. I would not be too worried about this because every grant call will have very clear instructions on how to go about it. So then in conclusion, I would say that SMEs, we do play a key role in the economy of Kenya and the Kenyan economy. I think that, we create jobs, and besides the big, large companies, I think we do create more jobs actually. So we play a really big part in the economy of the country, whichever country we are in. Grant funding can enable SMEs to take higher risks and pilot innovation. So that's how we look at it. Again, like I said, we do not want to distort the market. We don't want to give money where commercial, funders should come in. So it has to be a really clear demonstration that we are helping you take higher risk or to pilot something. And it's something that probably the commercial funders will not be happy to take that level of risk. But grants, are very competitive. They are very competitive. Many people want them. And therefore you must have a very unique selling point as you put together your application. It is very critical that you follow through with stellar implementation on what you put in the proposal. And I think this is really important. And it's not just important for you, but for the ecosystem as well. That's how I look at it. Because if we issue grants and you mess it up, then we shy away from grants, and that affects everyone in the ecosystem. So look at it that way. I mean, it's not about your business only, but it has impact on the broader ecosystem. And the next thing is honor reporting and accountability requirements always. So if you do go through and you're successful with the grant, do honor the reporting and accountability requirements that are in place. But yeah, businesses must think longer term. Like I said, we want to see that commercial viability longer term. We like to play in the space that is, very niche and solving a specific constraint, but then that allows you to work more commercially and be commercially viable to avoid dependency on grants. So I will pass on now to Linda, who will take us through some of the currently available opportunities, the current open grant opportunities, and then we will come back to questions after that. So Linda, please, if you can still hear me, I really hope you can.
We can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you now hear me? I think you can't hear me. You may need to, the team is calling you, may need to remove your headphones because I think that's where the connection is being lost. But yeah, thanks guys. Don't worry, we shall salvage this situation in the question and answer. Please ask as many questions so that we can get the most out of Eunice. We have 40 minutes of Q&A. And so we'll be able to really get a lot out of this. So I hope you can all actually hear me. So grant opportunities. So what happens at the SME Support Center, we realize that there's really an information gap. Like I saw someone asked on the chat, people really struggle. Where do I find these opportunities, whether it's grant, equity? A lot of these opportunities hoarded in several organizations. And what we decided at the SME Support Center sometime early last year, is that we provide this as a service. It's a bonus service at the center, and I'll put a link where you can register, be part of the center. So we pulled out some of the open grant opportunities. So we'll start with the Kenya Catalytic Job Fund. This is the one Eunice designed. You can actually go and check it out. This is the one that they designed. And check it out. So European Union also has one. This is for local artists. I'm sure you have seen this. It's 150,000 Kenya shillings. We have the SGB Evidence Fund is also available. You can check this out. And once you register at the center, we'll send you all this. The Tony Melu Foundation is also out. And I don't think Eunice can hear me, but she needs to go to the next slide. Don't think she can hear me, but she needs to go to the next slide. Great. So as we sort out the tech issues, because there's clearly a small tech issue, and I know the team is calling Eunice so that we can be able to hear her back. Great. Kindly go to the next slide, Eunice. Sorry, guys, today we've had so many technical issues. Sorry, guys. Yes, next slide, please. People are telling Eunice, next slide, please. So take a screenshot of the slides. Please take a screenshot of the slides. There's really a small problem on Eunice's side. I think it's the headphones, we're not sure. And I know that team is really trying to solve it. So bear with us today, guys, really bear with us. Bear with us. Don't worry, we'll salvage with your question and answers today. We have enough time for question and answers. There you go, thanks Eunice. Don't know whether now you can hear me. But yeah, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is also out. Please take a screenshot, take your phone, put it in there. Japan International Research Center is also out. And then the FAO from United Nations. So right now I will put our our registration page. Remember, we only picked the ones that are open. So what typically happens every week at the SME Support Center is that we share all these opportunities weekly so that you don't have to really struggle. You don't have to really struggle with finding opportunities. So I'll put a link there. Kindly register, become a member of the center, and you'll get a lot of these opportunities. We have a strong team that really scouts and shares these opportunities. Yeah, so you'll be able to get this. Could you go to the last slide, Eunice, please? Great, thank you. So in terms of the opportunities at the center, I've spoken about that. We also have a young business grant support package. I see people asking, so are there people who help people do executive grant packages? So we actually have a young business grant support package for those that are less than 3 years in business to support you with grant applications. If you're interested in this, again, register and we'll be able to help you. We'll be able to help you. So register at the center. I'll put the registration link again. So just become a member of the center and we'll be able to really help you with these grant applications and help you navigate grants and funding. That's it. Eunice, can you now hear me? I think she's on mute. We can actually unmute her.
Yes, Linda, I can hear you now. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, great. I think it was an issue with the headphones. Maybe.
Yeah, I've plugged it off. I'm really sorry for that, everyone. Our apologies for that.
Yeah. So guys, great. So thank you I'm so happy that you're back. I didn't want us to miss this question and answer session. So many good questions that are coming through from participants. And I want to start asking them right away. So just give me a second. I want to start asking them right away. So I'll start with Elizabeth Omolo. Elizabeth Omolo, welcome. Is there an acceptable standard proportion of co-investment to the requested grant value? How do we value the in-kind co-investment? Is this the same as cost share? So speak a little bit more about the co-investment. Yeah.
Okay. No, very happy to, Elizabeth, thanks for that question. So co-investment, I may have skipped saying that it can be in cash or in kind. So there is no standard, proportion, and that again differs from grant to grant. And if a particular grant is looking for a certain proportion, they will let you know. So some of it says like matched funding. So they say bring 50%, I bring 50%. They'll be very clear. I mean, the grant documents will be very clear on that. But most of the time, like the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund, it's not a specific proportion, but you just want to show your commitment. I think it goes to some of the softer issues that we were talking about, your passion and your commitment into that. And the in-kind could be your time. I mean, your time in itself is a contribution, or the team. So say you're saying, I want you to support my business in this way. You will not pay any salaries. I just want you to buy this, system for me. I will pay salaries. So you're bringing the team. So it really differs from one grant process to another, but every grant will be very specific and very clear on what they want. And if it's proportion they're looking for, they should be able to say that.
Great. Thanks. I hope that answers your question, Elizabeth. She's also asking another question. Demonstration of emotional investment makes it sound subjective. What do you advise for one to achieve a persuasive expression of it?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And like I said, Elizabeth, we try to be very objective. That's why in our evaluation criteria, we really use, specific numbers, for example. I think on this, and you'll remember what I said, Elizabeth, that this is not the core, it's not the engine, but it's the oil. It's really the oil that makes it better, that could set it apart from if one proposal is giving 10,000 jobs, same as the other, but there's just a demonstration of that emotional investment. And I think one of the ways that you could show that is I think it's telling a story, for example, of how you went through a difficult time. And I know it's not as straightforward as I'm trying to put it, but like we said, entrepreneurship is hard and you can easily give up along the way. So we just want to see that you will not give up along the way. And you could use different things. You can use a very specific example of a time when you had a difficulty as a team and how you sailed through it. You can really use, a number of ways, your passion in it and how even your training. And I think just try and bring yourself. The thing is, bring yourself into the conversation. And some of it may not even be a subtopic that you write on, but it's just really through the entire process of application. Do you bring in that passion? Can we feel you in that application itself? I hope that helps.
Yeah, great. So actually, don't copy and paste. Don't copy and paste from previous grant proposals. Write like you're writing very simple English, yeah, so that you can bring yourself. Very interesting. Jacqueline Oku is asking, do you fund SMEs that specialize in capacity building? Consultants and all.
Again, that's breaking a little. Say it again, Linda.
Do you fund SMEs that specialize in capacity building?
Right. So that's a really important question. And again, goes back to the grant purpose and grant objectives. So I will give an example of one of the grantees of the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund. They're called Build Her. So Build Her trains women in construction and carpentry. So that's a sector that, is largely male dominated, but they have set up a training workshop, a really large training workshop that specializes in women and their marginalized women. And they bring them in and they teach them on carpentry and, fine joinery. So, your nice kitchen cabinets. Those are the kind of things that they teach them to do. And then they link them to construction companies who absorb them in their businesses. So yes, that's an example where we fund an organization that is doing capacity building in terms of training those women. I think the only caveat to that is that you really have to demonstrate the impact of it, because as we know, most of capacity building or kind of classroom training sessions, most of the time it's really hard to demonstrate the impact. So I think ultimately it's ability to demonstrate the impact of what you're doing.
Amazing. So remember those 5 things Eunice trained us today about impact and innovation and all those 5 matrices. Very interesting. Gatweri Githinji, she's asking, how do you really bring out accountability in any grant proposal? Because I feel how I've done it before has cost me a number of grants. What do you mean by demonstrating accountability? Maybe showing you have a team with mandates, say secretary, treasurer, and their mandates, because I don't think it's about showing how the money will be apportioned. So how do you bring accountability? Very good question.
Yeah, no, really good question there. And yes, accountability is one of those that, again, can be difficult to bring, but also, like I said, it goes back to the systems. Do you have a system? And it's at different levels. So first of all, there's just the budgeting process, just showing how you will use the money that you will receive, being very specific as to what goes where, whether you're buying a system or it's paying certain bills, being very specific and showing that, you're clear on what the money will be buying, but also reporting, because accountability really, it's having a system that can allow you to see when something is going wrong. That's how I would put it. So if you have, what do you use for your financial reporting, for example? What is your structure around that? And do you have, for example, what do I call it? Whistleblowing processes? And again, that depends on the level of the business and the nature of the grant. But do you have some basic system that can allow you to track the money and that it's being used well, and that can allow you to report back to the donor on how the money has been spent and how and it's not only about money, because it's also accountability in terms of reaching the target group. So if you said you're going to work with farmers, do you have a system that you can report back to us and can demonstrate that actually you're reaching those farmers that you said you're going to use to reach?
Wow, very interesting. You're getting it firsthand. Don't worry, we'll get everything from Eunice in this question and answer question session. So please put all your questions. Julie McKenna is asking, on emotional connection, could you talk about pitching and how to connect with the audience?
Wow. So pitching, yes, is a whole. So what we do, for example, with our own fund is that we take through the selected or the shortlisted businesses, we take them through training on pitching and even dry runs. So I think pitching is something that is very practical. Like when you get to that point, just really, and there are separate trainings, Linda will tell you just on that you could do. But I think ultimately in pitching, it's telling the story. Again, really telling the story and being clear on what your story is, where you're coming from and where you're going. And definitely knowing a bit more about the people that you're going to pitch to is helpful. So if you know who the panel is and you know what they are, maybe one of them is so big on branding, you know, and you know them. And most of the time there are people in the system. For example, Darshan Chandaria chairs our Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund pitching events. So what does he, you know, generally from what you know about him, what is it that you will say that will completely have him bought over? And I think ultimately just tell your story, really just tell your story and relax. But what we do for ourselves is we take you through kind of coaching just before the pitching event.
Wow, great. Clemens Samba, he's asking, I'm in hospitality and tours and travel. Can I get a grant? If yes, how do I package myself to meet the requirements?
I think the first question I'll have back to Clemens is, what do you want the grant for? I think that's really what matters. Like, you can't get a grant, but you have to demonstrate that you need the grant. So is there something very specific that you are innovating in that sector, in your sector? Is there something new that you're trying out? And to be honest, some of our grants are very flexible. So we can buy even capital goods for you if you're innovating a very specific thing. We can buy it. So it can be both, capital or just technical assistance and all. So I think ultimately it's really difficult, to answer that question more effectively, just because we need to understand what gap, what are you looking to fill in that space? What's your need? What would you want a grant funding for? And once we know that, then it's easier to kind of see how to package it. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So it's not about the sector, it's about the need. Guys, I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're taking notes. Wow, so it's how you package the need and the solution that you're providing. Amazing. Josek Kibage, he's asking, can you fund community activities? Maybe you can give an example of one you funded, but yeah, community activities.
So again, like I said, depends on the nature of what we are looking for in each specific thing. So for example, we do have governance programs that do fund community activities. So whether it's around policing and how do we integrate communities with the police administration system, how can they feel safe to go and report issues? So it's really wide, and so it can be, there's no limit. Yes, we can fund community activities, but depends on what the specific outcome or objective of that program. So my jobs program cannot fund a community activity, because really the objective of my jobs program is to fund innovations that have potential to create jobs. Yes, for the communities, but it has to be something that can create jobs for the communities. So it will not be, for example, it may not work directly with the communities in a jobs program, but yeah, there are other sectors that, then health sector, for example, it's a lot of work with communities, and yes, you can get grant funding for that.
Wow, great. Julius Ndungu, who is watching us on YouTube. Today we were maxed out completely on Zoom. So there are people on YouTube. So Julius Ndungu, I'm in M-Pesa business as an agent. Do I qualify for grants?
I think same story, Julius. What do you need a grant for? What's the gap? I think, yes, if it's business grant, you do qualify for business grant because you are in a business, but what do you need it for? I think that's the most important thing. What's the gap that you're trying to fill?
Good. And I think I'll ask you to summarize the pillars. It's like some people didn't get the first part. Maybe we can just, you can summarize you brought it so beautifully, the pillars for an effective grant proposal, so that they can really get it as we move along.
You want to
do that now? Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, so the pillars, and I wish I could, I'm just so scared beaming it because I'm afraid my sound will be messed again. But the pillars that I mentioned was innovation. So what, vision. What's your vision? What's your longer term goal? Where are you going? Do you clearly articulate your vision? And then passion. I know there's been question around that, like how do you bring passion? We've had before in the Kenyan system that it's very hard. There's no passiometer. There's nothing for measuring passion. But I think as entrepreneurs and being also very, innovative in our own selves, we need to bring out that. Oh, thank you. Is that Lloyd helping me there? Thank you so much. Okay. And then the other one, it was team. I think, yeah. So team, who do you have to support you through the process of implementing? Because it's one thing, and I can tell you for sure, one of our biggest fears as donors is that we give you a grant and you fail to do what you meant to do with it or what you said you will do with it. So we really want to see that and to demonstrate that that you have the team to be able to do that. And then, like I think I called it follow through in terms of how, still the same thing. How will you bring to fruition? How will you implement? And do you have systems for accountability and transparency as you implement your project?
Wow, from the horse's mouth, it's becoming very clear. Lillian, she's asking, do we have grants for startups?
Yes, I think this is one that Linda is better placed than me to answer. Linda, do I just throw that back to you? In our list today, do we have startups there?
Sure. So grants for startups come in form of innovation competitions and so forth. So they actually come in the form of innovation competition. So you'll see a call for competition, and they usually have grants, sometimes up to $100,000. So yes, indeed, you have grants for startups. And I'll ask my team, one of them, for you to register, because we share all these opportunities, including those for startups and etc. So we'll put our link to register at the SME Support Center. So Daniel and the team, if you could kindly put that link for me. Dance on Kakamega via YouTube again. Can you fund a consortium?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a yes or no answer, I think, but again, goes back to what are we funding a consortium about? So we have, I mean, today's topic was really grants for businesses, but if we talk of funding consortiums, we do at other levels and different other things that, we partner with different people either to deliver our programs. But I think ultimately it's really describing what the gap is. So, and also reading the guidelines for whatever grant that you're applying for. Like I said, any grant should be very clear on its guidelines. So if you do read the guidelines and yes, you feel a consortium fits, definitely you put up the application. So ultimately, it just really depends on what are you trying to do? What's the gap?
Wow, still same questions. People asking their personal sector questions. Priscilla, yeah. She's asking, hi there. I'm in beauty sector, selling beauty products. In future, I would love to start packaging my own products for eczema-prone babies. Can I get funding for such a project? And do you provide opportunities for learning on such?
Amazing. That's amazing, Priscilla, and all the best in your business. I think we do. And like Linda said, there are innovation funds. So if you're already in the sector, you're already in the business, you're doing something, but you want to try out something new, then you can have an innovation fund and you can be funded. So the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund is slightly beyond proof of concept. That's what we call it. So it's a new innovation, but at least it's been tried out. That's what we put money in. But I do know there are forms of funding that takes it right from concept. Like I have an idea. And I have an idea. I have not tried it out. I want to try it out. Yes, there are funds that should be able to do that.
Great.
And that's, sorry, Linda, just to, because I think the last part of our question was, do we allow them to learn? I think that's the whole thing. That's the whole essence of grant funding. Like I said, we shy away from putting money where, something is already proved and commercial. If you walk to a commercial bank today, they're able to give you money for it. So we don't do such. But if it's something new, you want to try it out, you want to learn as you try it out, then yes, that's our niche. That's where we participate most.
Wow, so many questions, so many questions. I see my chat is like 60 unread messages. I will get to them. We have to get everything out of Eunice today. Ken, Gloria Mudoni, sorry, it's actually Gloria Mudoni from YouTube. Which grant fund are available to support career advisory for physically, visually challenged persons? I mean, so the grant opportunities, they're not, they always come, it's not like there's a specific grant, but maybe Eunice, you can answer. What sort of grant opportunities from your experience are available for career advice for the physically, visually challenged persons? For people who went advisory,
Yeah, again, like I said, so there would be, for example, I'm aware of grants that focus on disability particularly, so innovations around that. Like, how do we, what are some of the innovative ways of supporting people living with disabilities? And I think that could be one of them. So, and they're very specific, just like there are grants for youth, there are grants for women, and they're very clear. This grant is particularly targeting this specific, target group. So I think it would mean looking out for such. But if it is, for example, a jobs grant, then you have to demonstrate how jobs are coming out of that process. I think ultimately check the objective of the grant and just demonstrate how you will meet that objective.
Amazing, I like that. So when you see an application, check the objective of the grant. So if it's a job fund, they want to see how many jobs you will create, and then speak to that objective. Amazing, amazing. Evelyn Tiani, can you fund orphans in private schools?
Wow. So again, UK supports a lot of education projects in Kenya. There are scholarships at different levels, really. So I would say that also goes to what opportunities are there and looking out for them. A jobs fund, for example, would not do that, but an education fund would certainly do something like that. So again, it's looking out which, what's available out there in the market. But we do work across different sectors.
Wow, amazing. YouTube again, Danson Kakamega. What makes a project more bankable than the other?
So that's a bit more, and I'm sure Linda is more of an expertise, or that's more on the commercial side now, because you're talking about bankability. Then it's more, it's a lot of metrics that are put into play to be able, and differs from one sector to another. For us, and in the context of my training today, it was more around sustainability. So whatever it is that you're doing. So for going back to the example that I gave of Build Her, how do they demonstrate that, at some point, yes, this is their project, they're training women in construction industry. How in the longer term, how will they generate revenues to be able to run on their own, so that it does not perpetually depend on donor funding? But Linda, I could have you maybe expand a bit more if you have more to say on bankability and how we assess that.
Oh, great. Yeah, so bankability is really about if it's in the context of a loan. Today we're talking about grants, but if it's in the context of what the instrument, so if it's loans, bankability for loans, it's always just about cash flows. How are your cash flow statements looking? Because loans are basically about financing cash. I mean, loan decisions are based on whether your ability to pay, the interest and the principal in a predetermined time. So they are keen on looking at your cash flows. If your cash flows make sense, then you'll definitely be bankable. And even the collateral requirements makes you, and the quality of collateral makes you bankable, and so forth. But I want to limit our discussion to grants today in terms of how do we then choose one grant application over the other. I know Eunice really spoke about this. It was very insightful. How you choose one grant application over the other. What makes one different? What makes, when they look at your application like this on paper, remember they receive so many. What makes one tick for you? Maybe you can speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, again, there's just the technical bit of your business. So describing what you're doing, that's all fine. And like I said, the structure of grant application is quite standard, so we'll get it in the same format. But the things that begin to make a difference is those 4 pillars that I said. Do we feel a bigger vision? So if we get 2 innovations doing exact same thing, and one kind of show a really big picture and innovation, and I'm being careful here, I'll be careful here also to balance and say that you need to be truthful. So it's not a case of projecting and saying, yeah, this can do something that really even you don't believe in that it can do. But I think that some of the elements as you go through your business, even before the grant opportunity comes, can you think through your vision and, where do you want to get to and how will you get there? Then of course, the evaluation criteria really separates one grant from another, and just measuring the different aspects of it. So if it's impact, we weigh, and like I said, we try to be very objective and even put numbers to it. So if this one specific opportunity can give me 100 job and the other can give me 200 for the same money, clearly I will be going for the one that can give me 200. Of course, other factors considered around that. And if it's about health incomes, if this one can reach 10,000 women on this particular health issue, another one can reach 20,000, then those are some of the things that now begin to differentiate the different grant applications as we go through them.
Wow, amazing. So for the same money, make sure you show as much impact as possible. So if it's a job fund, show us how you will create as much jobs as possible, as much impact, the impact criteria that they're looking for. Very interesting. Thank you, Eunice. Lydia is asking me, I'm Lydia from Kisumu. I've been trying to put up a bread depot in Kisumu, and it's been so hard for me financially. Is it possible to get a grant to fund my idea? Talk about grants and ideas. Is it possible?
Yeah, no, Lydia, hello, and yeah, keep going. I think that's what he said, like demonstrating that passion. Although I'm sure Linda will tell you that also as entrepreneurs, you have to know when it's not working and we move to something else. But yes, you can get funding for that. We have, again, I'll give an example of the Jobs Fund currently. We're supporting an enterprise to set up a fish processing plant in Lodwar. Actually, so they already had like a fish processing plant, but they want to try now do like animal feeds out of the byproducts of the fish processing plant. So that would mean actually that we could mean that we build for them a different processing line, for example. So I'm just giving that as an example because it relates to what you're saying. You said bread depot. I'm not sure if that's processing, doing the bread themselves, bakery, or I didn't get exactly what the business is about. But I think bottom line is, yes, any business can access grants. Going back to the whole thing of what's the gap, what are you trying to do, and why grants and not a loan, for example, from the bank.
Wow. Yeah, so Eunice is also in charge of an urbanization project. I know you guys look at very big project proposals. Very interesting. People are asking their specific grant questions today. Please do. It's the only chance you might get to talk to Eunice directly. Geoffrey Ochieng, he's asking youth groups. We are a youth group from Mombasa doing garbage collection. And we'd like to purchase the cleaning equipment like dustbins, spades, racks. Can we apply for the grant? We have a structure of earning as a group from the garbage collection. We will be charging per collection.
So that's really interesting because we have supported a waste management project in Mombasa before, under a completely different grant at that time. And yes, we didn't, that time I think we were more formalizing them, supporting them to formalize. So whether it's having uniforms, having structures and all. In terms of the Jobs Fund right now, and I know it's not only the Jobs Fund. I mean, Linda has put up there many different other grant opportunities that are available. So again, going back to just look at what is the grant looking for in terms of its objective, and how are you contributing towards that? So in the waste management space, is it jobs you're creating? Is it an environmental thing? Would that fit better with a grant that is more focused around climate and environment and how you take care of that? So it's really looking around as which grant fits your need at that time.
Great. Oh, wow. They're coming in very fast. William Owino from CIA. Can you support anti-corruption activities and legal aid services?
So I'll defer that to our experts. So in our team, we have our governance team, and they do a lot of work around that. I don't think I will credibly represent them here today, but like I said, we work in different sectors doing different things. And for some of it, it's not directly supporting a business, but then working at an ecosystem level, or the broader network, and trying to bring kind of market systems approach, where you bring change at a broader level and hope that then influences the different smaller units beneath that. So yeah, we do a lot of work around anti-corruption and governance, both at national and county level, but they are not really grants. It's not like we give grants directly for that. We work with key partners in that sector who then deliver on the ground.
Wow. I know a lot of you are asking to meet Eunice personally. I'll ask her how that will happen in the end. A lot of people are writing to me directly that I want some time with Eunice, and ETC will handle that in the end. So Sylvester, I've seen your request, and every one of you I have seen. So there's a handle here, it says after AFCTA Connect, but let me ask a question, it's a very good question. What can be done to increase the donor culture in Kenya, in Africa? I mean, having more individuals donating.
I think that's a really important question, and really goes back to, who's a donor? And you'll remember in the discussion, I did say that sometimes we look at donor as the big development agencies or the foreign agencies that are in Kenya. But even within the communities, we can invest in each other's businesses. And I think so it all takes what format, what shape, what are we looking for, how do we group, how do we come up in groupings to be able to do that. But I think ultimately I would say it's what's in it for the community that is donating. So there are people who just do charity, and that's fine if that's what we are looking for. But can we also think about the commercial aspect of it in that sense? So that, can I invest, for example, in your business? Can someone else invest in your business, and what's the return for that? Because again, I think we have to appreciate the context that we are in, and the different layers of it. It's not a culture. I know I'm not answering this question very well. My apologies, but it's not a culture just to give, and especially into a business. Like, why would I today just wake up and give money to a commercial business for them to run their business, as a grant without any return for me? Would I not rather put it in another, maybe more charitable organization? If the business is doing charity, that's fine. But I think that's the question that we need to ask ourselves.
Wow, lots of people asking about blue economy. So I see Shenga Barua and another one person from Kisumu. They're asking, is there room to fund or grant blue economy related ventures? Many funders shy away from fishing subsector as they consider it high risk and affected by seasonality.
I think so. The very fact that it's high risk is what should be make it attractive to us for grant funding, because clearly commercial, if it's high risk for donors, how much more for commercial lenders? And they'll just not, put their money in there. I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I know through the Jobs Fund we've had. One of the businesses in that sector that went all the way to pitching, unfortunately did not make top 5, but was definitely top 10. And they are doing, again, cooling systems for fish, and how to link, supply linkages from the lake to different hotels and towns and all. So yes, we do, as long as it demonstrates the objectives that the fund is looking for.
Okay, please put your videos off. I see in Phoenix, put your video off. Lynette Nyawera, my organization wants to start. So you haven't started, eh? You want to start a microfinance where we can support women from low income status. The money will help them start and expand their business. That way they can support their family. This is in line with our menstrual hygiene campaign, where we discovered that most parents cannot afford to buy the monthly pack of sanitary towels, and will not always be there to provide sanitary towels. Can such a project get grant funding?
So that sounds to me more like targeting the health sector. So when you talk of menstrual hygiene, so I would put it more around health programs. Is there opportunity in that area? And again, it's really looking around to see if there are. It may not exactly fit, say, a jobs fund program, but the fact that a startup is not an issue. We've already heard that, you know, there are funds that do put money into startups, and that's what they specialize in. They just really take you from scratch, from idea to you know, when you start it off. But that feels more like a health sector kind of target. So I would just encourage her to look around the health sector and whether there are specific funds that she can you know, get into.
Great question from Christopher Mara. Does being funded by a VC or a PE investor already affect your application for grant funding? And also, do you finance scalability after proof of concept?
So really good questions, Christopher. And no, the first question, the direct answer is no. Having had funds from a VC does not mean you can't get grant funding. The thing is, and actually that can come as your co-investment. Remember, we talked about co-investment. So co-investment would also mean that, look, I've secured this money from this other fund. I still have a gap that I want you to fill. So that's all perfectly well. We would not say because you've had money from that, we can't give you a grant funding. On the second part of, do we take them to scale? I think that, yes, there are a lot of funds that then focus on taking an idea that has been tested to scale. So the jobs fund that I keep referring to is looking at taking an idea that has just been started to help it test more, like test the idea, proof it more, so that the one who now wants to take it to scale is a bit more comfortable and confident taking it to scale, that the risk is lower. So yes, there are funds to take to scale. And I think even within our system, there are funds. I think Linda would tell you there's a bit of a gap between, that very early stage and testing and then there's now those who really look for scale, like big tickets, and they not deal with little monies. I think in our ecosystem, we kind of have a bit of a gap in between. So yes, there are a lot of innovations that want to help you test. And then there are those that want to give you really, really big money too. But sometimes from testing, you need something in between before you get to the big money. I think there is a bit of a gap there, but also increasingly there is, I think there are opportunities. But Linda could speak a bit more to that as well.
Mm-hmm. I really want to focus on the questions to you today. But yeah, guys, I think we might end up doing something similar, but yeah, lots of interest. Peterson Murevi. Peterson, thank you. You come again and again. He's a good entrepreneur. He's actually streaming live from a Kongeni market in Thika, right? So his question I know is to Kepsa, but I want to switch it up a little bit for you. Is so you didn't say what you did. So for groups, maybe for groups or micro enterprises, right? How can they package themselves for grants? Normal micro enterprises, those ones without innovation, or maybe cannot demonstrate that tech scalability. What would be your advice?
So I think again it goes back to the specific funds, because I believe there are funds, and we've done before working with enterprises, with micro enterprises, but how we did it was work with a microfinance. So we partnered with a microfinance company, gave them the money to on lend to microfinances targeting very specific sectors. So I think our capacity as well and our systems may not allow us to work directly with very, very many businesses directly, but there are ways of doing that. So either we partner with a microfinance, put the money in there, then downstream they work with the micro businesses.
Yeah, that's very true. And one way is to actually, I know people say associations, but form form aggregate yourselves, like micro enterprises, just don't be one. Aggregate yourselves and put forward a package that can then be fundable. I see Bernard Kipkorir asking almost similar. I'm managing director of Brisbane Enterprises. I run a retail hardware store, so a normal micro enterprise. I plan to expand my enterprise into Juakali industry. Is that a viable project for me? How can I get more funding to this venture?
I think that's really a clear story and clear vision, like what you're doing right now, but you want to expand more into Juakali. I think it's really demonstrated. So what do you want to do? Do you want to establish like a factory that does something? And yes, we can, and most of the funds would actually even help you with the physical infrastructure to do that, but also begin to help you put in place, even systems and people and all. So there's a lot of opportunity, but again, the need has to be clear, and the vision and the impact of it also has to be very clear.
Great. I know you guys are now asking for your individual projects. I will ask them. I'll take. I know Eunice is really giving us. It's 3 minutes to 50 past. So I'll take another 5 minutes or so. Linda Okumu from Nairobi. I would like to apply for a grant for an ongoing extension for farmers, since farmers don't get timely extension services. So speak around agriculture. What makes it very attractive for grant funders to consider grant funding in the agriculture sector, given the seasonality? There's so many issues which we've not been able to solve, but what makes the ones you fund attractive?
Yeah. So I think actually agriculture actually presents a really good opportunity because it's of its inclusiveness. So that's, again, as you'd be aware, that's one thing that as donors in terms of impact we look for. So in terms of how inclusive are even the jobs or opportunities that are created by the grants that we issue. So agriculture is one that if you talk about semi-skilled labor, yes, agriculture offers opportunities for that. So it's not very high level kind of labor that will be hired, and therefore there is that opportunity. Agriculture is also good because it works across a supply chain. So honestly, agriculture has potential if you can demonstrate that what I'm doing, I'm playing in this part of the value chain, but this is how it's influencing the supply chain. Yes, I am, for example, giving a rough example, I am cashew nut processor, but this is how it's impacting smallholder farmers and other parts of the value chain. So I think it's all demonstrating impact that matters. Just show the impact that your particular business has. And agribusiness is one of the areas that we focus on under the Jobs Fund for that very reason, that it's a very inclusive sector to work in, and it has opportunity to reach some of the harder to reach people. If you remember again, some of the criteria, one of the criteria that I talked about under impact was equity. How is this opportunity reaching the more harder to reach individuals?
Wow. Well, lots. I hope you guys are really taking notes. Olive Tonya, I love this question. I'm new to this. Speak more about social impact. I'm an interior designer looking to open workshops to handle different product lines that would absorb lots of trade people. So there are certain industries that the social impact doesn't come out so clearly. So speak about social impact. What does that really mean? What does that really mean?
So I think social impact is really the benefit or the value that this has to disadvantaged populations or to the population as a whole. And yes, I think different sectors would have it, play out differently. So for example, she's an interior designer. She wants to, I hope it was a she, I didn't pick the name, he or she. I think it was a she.
She's looking to open workshops to handle different product lines that would absorb lots of tradespeople. It's not so clear, but yeah.
Yeah. So the question would be, these different lines that you want to open, who will you be hiring? So can you demonstrate that actually for my business, I will particularly be targeting this category of people who are disadvantaged. My staff, or I'm looking, and it's one of the things we could help you do with a grant. I'm looking to train women from this, disadvantaged area, this kind of informal settlement. I'm looking to train them to a level that they can do a good job, because yes, you're also a business and you want someone who will do a good job. So if that could be a gap that we can fill. You're saying, I want to expand. I really feel I want to target this group, but as you know, I need, they don't have capacity. I'm looking for opportunity to train them and bring them to speed to be able to participate. So that's really some of the ways that you demonstrate social impact.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know I get a lot of questions about hotels
Mm-hmm.
and certain sectors, and they keep asking me, Linda, I employ people, even if I employ 10 people, is that social impact?
It is. I think jobs themselves is social impact. Jobs create social impact. And if you think about it, yes, you're employing 10, but they come from households. They're paying school fees with that money that you pay them. So there's a lot of social impact around that. And jobs itself, job creation itself is a social impact. Health outcome would be a social impact. So again, education is a social impact. If you are able to put girls or people through school, that's a social impact. So in that particular example, yes, it is social impact, and it's not look beyond the 10. And I think that's going back to, sell the potential, look at the big picture. Yes, you're employing 10 people, but these 10 people, how is that impacting them and their, and their communities?
Wow. Moses Okello. Thank you, Eunice, for the good presentation. We run CISDEL Africa with operations at Kirdi. So there are some micro enterprises who are hosted at Kirdi and so forth. Are there grant support to hybrid SMEs like ours, which are involved in food manufacturing? So if you're hosted at Kirdi, but then you source from women and youth for your food manufacturing, but then it's hybrid because then you're also hosted by Kirdi. I guess that's what he means. Is there opportunity for such kinds of structures?
Yes, there are, and I think we even as an organization or as a donor, we've run some of those incubation centers with very specific targets. We did one on climate and just really incubating ideas around climate change. And the whole idea is, yes, bring them in, let them try out, support them, give them free space as they try out the idea, and then launch them out. So I think there is opportunities across the board. The question, of course, is what specific gap and which grant opportunity do you target for your need?
Amazing. And I think I want to close it with this question from Lucy Kiel. It's a very good question which will summarize everything. If one needs a grant, does one have to wait until it's advertised? Or can one look for these organizations and apply?
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar question that people ask about jobs. Do I do a blind job application, or do I wait until a company advertises a vacancy for me to apply? I think to be more targeted and for better outcome, it is when there is a call, because then you are clear there is a call. The guidelines will be put out there. You can read through them and see that you fit the criteria and put in your application according to the guidelines. So I think that has more more probability of succeeding. In cases where, and we do get like just someone sent a proposal to us on different aspects. I think the challenge with that is that we don't always have a flexible resource to jump at these really exciting opportunities. And sometimes it feels bad because you read something and it feels really exciting, it has great potential, but we don't have flexibility in terms of, this fund is here and we can quickly respond. Again, going back to what I said earlier in terms of the capacity of systems, we really can't manage ad hoc applications that come on board. But when we have a dedicated fund to do that, then it's easier. Then we open a call and review the processes and do the selection.
Thanks. That's very true. From a donor perspective, it's very hard to get so many applications, and then you for them to actually align them. So that's why grant funding, a lot of VCs, you have to wait for the calls for proposals, the calls. unfortunately, and you have to be at a place where you don't miss. So I've put our register button. We scout all these opportunities and we share them every week at the SME Support Center. So register, become a member of the center, and we shall be sending you this information. Just click you're interested in the information services, and we shall really send you this. Good. So I think I want us to come to a close. I really wanted to get a lot from Eunice in the Q&A. I hope you've understood. Eunice, if you could summarize everything. Summarize, I know it's hard, but if you could summarize, if you're pitching to these SMEs who are in different businesses, how would you, I know you spoke about it a lot, how would you, what would you ask them to focus on when it comes to grant funding? I know you've spoken the pillars, you've spoken about the selection process, but how do they package themselves, like really, for all these grant funding opportunities?
Yeah. No, thanks so much, Linda, and to everyone who listened today, and apologies again for the hiccups that we had in between. I think for me, I'd say, first of all, value, know your value, like really know the value of your business and be proud of it. Kind of don't come, sometimes I think when we go for grant application, it kind of feels like you're begging, but no, you're not. We really need those quality grant applications. You don't know how much you're helping the donor by putting forward a quality grant application. Can you imagine if I released a call for proposal on my jobs fund and it closes in a month and there are 2 applications or 0? I mean, that would be a total failure on my part. So when you're putting a grant application, don't feel like, oh, I'm going to beg. It is absolutely not that. It's look at it like you want to help this donor to meet their objective, which also meets your objective. So it's both ways. It's really supporting each other both ways. So have a lot of confidence, follow the template, follow the instructions or the funding guidelines that have been issued, have a lot of, tell your story and really just, sell your vision, sell the potential rather than what you have at the moment. Tell the story of what you have now, but try and sell the potential of what this could result in.
Very well said. Oh, amazing, amazing. So I guess that answers, there's a question I have just seen. So the ones that are asking me, Linda, I'm at the early stages, very early stages, the early stages. I've just lost your chat, but you're asking at the initial stages of running an education foundation. The ones that are at the early stages, do they still fit within all this grant sphere?
I think yes, if the grant is targeting early stage, the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund is targeting early stage innovation that has potential. So yes, there are grants that particularly target early stage in the different sectors. So if this is education, then yes, we'll be looking for something around education. And I'd really encourage you to link into the networks like Linda is saying, if they do a good job in scanning through. So as an entrepreneur, you're very busy throughout the day, throughout the week. You may not have all the opportunity to scan through the available opportunities. But here, SME Support Center is basically saying, we do that. We have a team that can do that. And on a weekly basis, we will share with you some of those opportunities. I mean, why wouldn't you want to link into that so that you receive the opportunities and you are able to apply for them?
Okay, great. Thanks, Eunice. Wow, 2 hours of your time. Sorry, guys, for the technology today, Annie. It really to sumbua, but I think we have salvaged it with this Q&A. I really want to thank you for being here up until now. Over 250 of you been here up to now. So I want us to run a post-mentorship survey. I really stretched this because I wanted to get the most out of Eunice. We'll run a post-mentorship survey. Give us feedback. I know the tech was a little bit bad, but I think we are now good. Give us feedback on how you found the session. So I'll ask Lloyd to run the post-mentorship survey. And then guys, we can now register for the next session. It's going to be exciting. Next week, we have peer-to-peer mentorship, where we are going to teach each other. The SMEs are going to be the facilitators. All of you with great ideas, you're going to be facilitators. So in case you want to speak next week, if you've been attending, you want to speak, please chat me privately and say, Linda, I want to speak. And I will give you a chance, and it will be a guided presentation. We'll call you next week and actually give you guidance. So please chat me if you want to speak. But Lloyd, over to you. Thanks, Eunice. Thanks, Eunice. Thank you, Eunice, so much. Guys, you can wave in your houses to Eunice. Thank you for making time. We don't allow them to put the videos, but thank you for making time. Asante sana. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Linda. I know most of us began with us, so we are very much aware of this process, but if in case you joined us a little late, I'm just going to run you through the instructions. Just go to your phone's browser, type in menti.com, which is menti.com. Then you'll type the code that appears on your screen, which is 9832540. Then you hit submit. Then what you'll see right there on your screen, you'll see the post-training feedback. Then there will be a love heart, just click on that. So if you're, please do not log off yet. This is a very important part of this training. So 9832540 is the code, or you can scan the QR code that appears on the screen. If you're following us on YouTube, you could still participate by doing the same. So 9832540 is the code. You type in, is on your phone's browser, which is menti.com, MENTI. I think just check how many of us have managed. So we can begin. Excellent. We have 44 of us. I know we could get to 50 at least, just 50. Yeah, we are at 46, 47 now. Let's see how many more we can get. 48. We're only one person shy. All right, excellent. We're at 52, so we can begin. So how satisfied were you with the overall training content? Just slide the slider to the right. There's a small slider there, and you hit submit. All right, submit. We see about 39 of us have taken part. We have 49, 51 now, 57. Okay, 63. I love it. I love it. Love the uptake now. You're doing well. We're at 67. I know we can close at 70, 68 now. We just have two more. All right, 69. All right, actually 74. Awesome. So you can do the next question. How relevant and helpful do you think it was for your business? Again, you drag the slider to the right up to where you're satisfied. Then you hit submit. Okay, we are doing it very fast. In seconds, we are at 54. Awesome. All right, 63. I know we could still close at 74. Let's see. Okay, 72, 73. Let's see. Okay, awesome. All right. Which sessions did you find most relevant? Again, do the same. Out of the three that we covered, the three topics, which one was the most relevant? Just hit submit and see. Doing it very fast. I love how we've caught up with this technology. 13, we are at 18 of us now. We're moving very fast. Awesome. We're 41. We're at 52 now. Okay, a majority of you giving us an A, which is 8 point, or I say that most of the topics were relevant, rather. It's a head-to-head for all the three topics. So it means that it was very well balanced. We're at 77. Let's take the next question. So evaluate the following statements based on your experience in the training. Again, you do the same. Then you hit submit. So was the training informative? Did it meet your expectations? It helped you understand the concepts better. It was well prepared. The facilitator contributed to the success of the training. There was enough time to cover the topics. Of course, you were engaged through the training. We are at 28 now. I know we could get to 70. All right, we're doing on well. Yes, we are at 50 something, 58. Yeah, very well, very well. Thank you so much for taking part in this poll. It's very important. Okay, 69, we are 71. So let's do the next question now. What learnings from the training will you apply? Yeah, we've learned a lot. Let's see. What learnings from the training will you apply? Someone says a lot. Yeah, you need quite a lot, but a little bit vague. See someone ensuring social impact, effective grant application, sustainability, someone says, how to apply for grants. Someone says passion, okay. I see there are a lot of you have given your input. We're at 14. At least let's get to 30 with this. Vision. Okay, if I see someone saying vision, someone says core investment. Someone says telling your story. Yeah, very critical. Grant evaluation process, we at 40. I think this is really good. We could just see a few more, but we can see the ones that stand out are usually here are sustainability, passion, impact, innovation, vision. Yeah, accountability. Okay, let's take the next question now. Okay, so any specific feedback on the overall training content that would have covered? So if you feel that there's something you really wanted to hear today and you didn't hear it, something that you would want to hear next time, you could type it here. If there is none, it's fine. But if there's really anything, you can just share it. Someone says, can we have the slides sent to our emails? Unfortunately, we can't send the actual slides, but we are going to do a summary of this session and we'll share that via email. Financial management for SMEs, someone says, okay. Effective pitching. Can we have this specific session again? Okay, that's quite important. Thank you so much for sharing that. Then a practical example on actual grant application. Okay, well noted. Well, we have 43 of us who've shared their input. We can, if there's anyone, before we lock out someone, support for young SMEs. Okay. Again, we see the request to share the notes on email. More time for training. Okay. All right, excellent. We have, someone said it was very informative. I agree with that. 65 of us have polled, have shared their input. Okay, we're going to review this, your input here. The session could have been broken into 3 to allow ample time. Okay, kindly be sharing notes since there are some disconnections sometimes. Does government policy feature in grant consideration? Okay, something on the policy around that. Okay. Someone says that they felt that the time was not enough. Okay, excellent. We're going to look at those, your feedback. Let's take this last question so that we don't take so much time. How satisfied were you with the training logistics? Again, this is so easy, just drag. Great, and we've come to the end of this poll session. Back to you, Linda. Thank you.
Wow, guys. Asanteni sana. Imagine it's 9:10. You guys are still here. Even the ones on YouTube are still here. And you're still saying it's not enough time. We've had your feedback. We love your feedback. Yani, we go back and look at it and see we are a huge team and we are really, really passionate about impact. And so we will definitely look at this feedback and see what can we do more around grants, because it's a big, big topic. It's a big, big topic. Thank you guys for joining till now. Lloyd, if you could please put the link for the next session, you can put it there. Next week, we have a peer-to-peer mentorship, really, where SMEs themselves, they teach others how to be resilient, leadership, how to overcome failures. I've already seen Saum Siraj, I'll contact you. Sylvester Derango will contact you. So if you want to participate in this peer-to-peer, please drop me a chat and we shall get in touch with you. We shall really get in touch with you. So drop me a chat, direct chat, and I'll definitely, it's going to be exciting. And then we'll close it with mental health and emotional intelligence. Yeah, we'll close it in the end because these are the things we need to build internally, yeah? Internally, we need to be strong as entrepreneurs, to be resilient. Before the funding, before the equity grant, before marketing, before technology, we need to be fast quality entrepreneurs from inside. So next week, that is what we are focusing on, guys. So please, I know Lloyd is trying to put the link for the next session. Again, guys, yeah, he's already put up the link. Please register. It's going to be exciting. Thank you, Alice Francis. You'll be in the peer-to-peer. Thank you, guys. Register. Write to me directly. We want as many of you to speak in the peer-to-peer. We shall encourage each other. Next week is a peer-to-peer mentorship. Register on the Zoom, and we're going to have an exciting time. We'll close it off with emotional intelligence, mental health. By the end of this series, we want you guys to be resilient, both internally and in terms of technical resources. So it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. So guys, please don't leave without registering. We are nearing our end. First, register for the training next week. Register. I see someone asking for our link, so I have just put it there. If you want to get funding opportunities, we share that weekly. I promise you, we're not just saying it, we actually do it. And I make sure as a team, we actually do it every week. So if someone would like to DJ Medan, thank you. It will be good to see a DJ next week. Thank you so much, DJ. Thank you for joining all the way from Eldoret, is it? I hope I didn't get it wrong. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Eunice. I see she's still on the call. Eunice, Yani, asante sana. We shall see over version 2.0 of this and see how we shall do that. Asanteni sana. If you want to, please register for the next session before you leave. Don't leave without registering. If you want to be involved in the peer-to-peer mentorship, you guys will be the main speakers next week. So please write on the direct chat. Write on the direct chat. Yeah, so Mildred Itemere, asante, nimeona. Mildred Itemere, you'll be a peer-to-peer mentor. Guys, yeah, so please write to me. Agrippa Onguta, I didn't see your queries. I'm so sorry if I missed your queries. Please write them again. I didn't see your queries. Please write to me. Write to me. So we'll send all the recap, the summary of the slides Eunice has shared. We shall send all of them in the emails you used in the registration. We shall actually share all of them. I know we have some small backlog, but we shall share all of them. Don't worry. We shall share all the summaries. We won't share the recording, unfortunately, but we'll share all the summaries of the training. Yeah. Karibuni sana. I see Leah is saying, thank you very much for the last 3 sessions. Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate you guys. We really appreciate you guys. You're struggling to register for this business mentorship. Ole sana. Is there a problem with the link? I don't think so. Martin Baraza, great to see you. Great to see you all the way from Mombasa. Asanteni sana. Great to see you guys. So the KEPSA team has actually put the link again. Please register. Register for the next session. It's going to be amazing. It's going to focus on you, the entrepreneur. It's going to be amazing. So if you want to be a speaker, please write to me. I see the mails coming. I see the mails coming. I see the mails coming. Yes, I see the mails coming. I see the mails coming. I see many messages to me. At times I don't get to see all of them, but yeah, I see the mails coming. Yes, I see you, Mucha. I know you, Mucha Mulingo. I see you, guys. So please register for the next session. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. So please register. Just register. If you please write to me if you really want to speak as a peer-to-peer mentor. Please write to me. Write to me directly so that I don't miss it. Please write to me directly so that I don't miss it. Yes. So Lydia, I have seen. Is this Lydia? So Lydia. Is it Lydia Dirango? I can't see the name clearly. Great, thank you, Lydia. Asanteni. Next week, you guys are encouraging each other in this journey. It cannot be that we are all, only facilitators are speaking. You guys also have the real experience on the ground. Yeah, so I'd like to see the DJ speak. I'd like to see Peterson. I'd like to see you speak. You really read a lot. I'd like to see you speak. I'd like to see you speak. Great, Lydia Otita, I have seen. I'd like to see you guys speak and encourage each other, because this whole series is about resilience. It's about resilience. It's about resilience. Sarah, hydroponics, asante, asante. Nimewaona wote. I hope I don't miss anyone. I'd like to see you guys speak next week. I'd like to see you guys speak. Yes, so you can now exit the Zoom call as long as you've registered for the last week's session. Please, you can exit as long as you've registered. Felicitas Mwende, for the next session via emails, it will be easier. You ask us to share the links via email. If possible, you can just register now, but there will, it might be easier to register now. It might be easier to register now. If you register, you'll keep getting the reminders, but very good note taken, Felisa. Note taken. We'll see how that works. We can actually see how we sent to the ones who registered previously. We'll check on that. Thank you. Thank you. Asante sana. Asante sana. Esther Karegi, I don't get what you ask if it's open, but the link should be able to work. The link should be able to work. Great, guys. As you log out, please sign for the next session. Don't worry, we'll share all the summaries. Agrippa, Onguka, we'll share all the summaries to the email you used to register for the session. So you don't have to send us your email again. We will share. So the link is not opening. Lloyd, could you check? The link is not opening. I think people are complaining about the link. Okay, great. Esther Karegi, you've managed to sign up. Thank you. Some are saying it's not working. Joseph Kikubagengdi, the link is not working. Is it not working? Let me check.
Well, we're checking. I'm checking on that. Although I noticed we already have people who've registered. We've moved from 1 to 17 seconds. So I know we.
Okay, great. So I guess it will log you in. So guys, please register for the next session. It's going to be amazing. We'll focus on you as an entrepreneur. Please register. Please register. We'll focus on you as an entrepreneur. Great, Alex, you've registered. Asante. See you next week. Mildred Itamere, not sure what's happening on your end, but please register. You can also follow our social